Hello and a very warm welcome to English News Bulletin. Here with you with top stories from Turkey and Kurdistan. Rojava people achieved a libertarian revolution on July 19, 2012. The revolutionary process, realized by self-management of Kurdish people, together with the other people of the region, has been since then under counter-revolutionary attacks. But the resistance of defend the revolution continues.
Rojava revolution has been under counter-revolutionary attacks since the beginning through embargo, shutdown of the borders, isolation, blockades, armed attacks of the gangs. AKP government organised mass killings by openly supporting the gangs like Al-Nusra and Al-Qaeda. Finding it not sufficient enough to shut down the borders, AKP government constructed walls between the Sayban, Kamishlu, Sirikanya, Jayli Pinar and Ifrin Kilis. People of Rojava and North Kurdistan resisted against the construction of the walls. On the other hand, KDP shut down Semalka border gate and prevented even the crossing of the representatives from the border. Revolutionary forces of Rojava invalidated all these attempts to break down the revolutionary process. One of these attacks is the blockade attempt at Kobane carried by the armed gangs. In Jayli Pinar, which is situated right across Sirikanye, the municipality has been taken away from the people by AKP's fraud and pressure. In the meantime, KDP militians has started to dig a wide and deep canal between Rojava and federal region of Kurdistan. There is no official explanation about the reason of the entrenchment yet. The canals will certainly prevent people from travelling to meet their necessary needs. Thousands of Kurds from the towns of Kamishlu and Derik in West Kurdistan have marched on Wednesday towards the border with the federal region of Kurdistan to protest at the digging of ditches.
Arab tribes and rebel groups in Raqqa province released a joint statement last week after ISIS alleged of having the support of the Arab tribes in Raqqa.
The statement was released by the General Command of the Raqqa Rebels Brigade, the Gathering of Raqqa Tribes, the Interim National Authority in Raqqa Province, and the Youth Revolutionary Movement. It is said in the statement that none of the Arab tribal groups in Raqqa Province has ever backed the ISIS practices against Syria's Kurds. The groups have also emphasized the Arab-Kurdish Brotherhood and invited the residents of Raqqa to condemn the attacks of ISIS against Kurdish people.
Rojava County administrations offered cooperation with the UN humanitarian aid representative in Syria.
The Commission of Humanitarian Relief and Support in the Democratic Autonomous Administration of the Rojava Cantons has written a letter to the UN humanitarian aid representative in Syria, offering cooperation to boost humanitarian aid in Syria, including facilitating and expanding humanitarian relief operations. The Rojava region has been relatively safe and has successfully managed to become a safe haven for internally displaced Syrians, says the letter, and notes that the Kurdish cantons are able to ensure the safety and security of United Nations personnel, those of its specialized agencies, and all other personnel engaged in humanitarian relief activities.
Turkish army has intensified its military actions in North Kurdistan right after the elections. The army forces located in the region between Jolamark and Çele has been engaged in military actions for a week. BDP's Jolamark branch has organized a march to Mesken Mountains to protest the military actions. The soldiers' attack at people in the march organised by BDPs by gas bombs and rubber bullets. BDP Jolamarg branch representative Selahattin Shein and 3 other members of BDP have been injured in the attack and taken to the hospital. Thousands of people have marched towards the region after they heard about the attack. People self-defending themselves, and the clash continues for a while. Facing the resistance of people, the mobile military and police units had to withdraw from Meskin Mountains. People launched a camp after the withdrawal of the military forces. Thousands of people from nearby cities and towns visited the camp. People made it clear that they would not leave the camp until the military empties the full region, and the youth kept guard in the high hills during the night. The new mayors elected from Peace and Democracy Party, together with the parties and HDP's MPs, have travelled to Ceylanpınar on Wednesday to show their solidarity with people but faced police blockade.
Following the widespread irregularities at the 30 March local elections in Ceylanpınar and the rejection of the BDP's objection to election board, tension increased in the town, leading to violent clashes. The governor of Ceylanpınar declared an emergency situation last week and banned all gatherings and demonstrations in the town. The implementation of state of emergency laws proves important given the fact that AKP uses Ceylanpınar as a sport base for groups affiliated to Al-Qaeda. People continue protesting the election fraud, AKP's plans to use Ceylanpınar to attack Rojava, and the state of emergency laws. The elected mayors and deputies from BDP and HDP have traveled to Ceylanpınar to protest AKP government's actions in the town and to show their solidarity with the people. However, police was determined to make difficulties not to let them go in the town. Traveling to Ceylanpınar have been prevented since last week, and the BDP representatives were stopped by the police at the gateway of the town. Police only allowed the elected mayors and the deputies to enter the town, and those that lacked the papers proving that they were elected were not allowed to go in. 4 BDP members of the City Council of Erzurum Henüz were detained by the police. The tension has continued in and outside of the town. Inside the town, there were announcements of loudspeaker from the municipality building saying repeatedly that protests were forbidden in the city and calling on people to stay at their homes.
Hussein Ali, a columnist of Kurdistan 24, evaluated the result of the local elections in Turkey, underlining BDP's success and the importance of the HDP, a broad party project in politics in Turkey. Here is one part from his analysis.
The March 30 election results are still under hot discussion. We have once again seen that the elections are far away from being held in a democratic and fair way in Turkey. The state and the government forces intervene in the voting process and into the results. This has become all the more evident in Kurdistan. In some provinces where BDP actually had the majority, the results have been modified in favor of AKP or other parties. In some other provinces where again the BDP had evidently had the majority of the votes, the elections annulled and rescheduled to be held at the beginning of summer. It seems that the state and AKP as part of it had been well prepared for the elections in Kurdistan. BDP is struggling in Kurdistan not against the parties, but rather against a state that pursues a dirty war, both physically and psychologically. The evaluation of the concrete situation before and after the elections would not be accurate enough unless we take this fact into consideration. These practices in Kurdistan proves that AKP and thereby naturally the Turkish state lack any concrete policy regarding the solution of the Kurdish problem. They don't respect the democratic political will of the Kurdish people. Despite all the dirty measures taken by the state to prevent the victory of BDP, yet the election results prove that the BDP was quite successful in these elections. Not admitting this fact or to evaluate the results otherwise would count to not understand the state reality and policies in Kurdistan. We can say that there is no weakening in the will of people for democratic autonomy and to struggle for building it. However, BDP has to work more to organize people around the concrete political projects. If organized and led well, the Kurdish people are capable of building democratic autonomy as well as their free and democratic life. They are capable of protecting it by all means and to make it survive. Another disputed issue about the elections was the votes of HDP. Undoubtedly, the expectations about HDP were quite high. HDP has been the only party among the political parties in Turkey that has a political program for the solution of all the problems of Turkey. Because AKP and CHP had no solutions to the problems of Turkey that it faces both inside and outside. On the contrary, these two hold positions to worsen the problems of Turkey both in its internal as well foreign policy. This is why HDP is the only political project in Turkey that can bring solutions. These elections has rendered HDP more valuable political project. Those who think that HDP would disappear after the elections have not due evaluation of the concrete situation in Turkey. Without building a political project like HDP, it is not at all possible to have a solution to the Kurdish problem or to develop democracy in Turkey. HDP has to intervene into the political deadlock in Turkey. It must lead for the unification of the democratic forces in Turkey around the democratization project. Turkey can enjoy a democratic and free future through their struggle.
Peace and Democracy Party Parliamentary Group Presidents Idris Balukan and Pervin Buldan went to Kandil to have talks on recent developments with KJK executives before their meeting with Abdullah Öcalan, which is likely to take place this weekend. Two deputies from Peace and Democracy Party has returned back from Kandil after a one-day visit. Pervin Buldan answered the questions on her return and said KJK executives were indignated to Erdogan's recent talks. Buldan said she returned with a letter of 5 pages written by KJK authorities to Öcalan as a response to Öcalan's previous letter of 13 pages of KJK. Buldan said they went to Kandil to discuss the recent developments before their meeting with Öcalan, and the talks lasted 6 hours. Buldan said KJK executives strongly reacted to Erdogan's rejection of drawing a legal framework of the negotiation. Buldan told that KJK said the election frauds and modification of result as government's intention to close the possibility of democratic politics, and insisted that the government must take necessary legal steps to open channels of democratic politics. Buldan said KJK executives saw HDP as a new political alternative and said that it must be strongly and massively built. Freedom for Öcalan's signature campaign to demands for freedom of Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan continued this week. Several members of the Council of Europe attended to the vigil to show their support for the campaign. Up until now, 3 million signatures has been collected in the region all over Turkey.
Kurds in Europe have been in a permanent vigil action in front of Council of Europe since 25th of June to ask the European Council, European Parliament in Strasbourg, for the freedom of the Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan. The vigil action continued last week with support of the members of the parliament. Member of Iceland Parliament, Oman Yunarsson, highlighted the importance of the freedom for Öcalan vigil.
I want to tell you that your work here, that your vigilance here has great importance from 2 points of view. Firstly, it raises questions. When I came here first to the Council of Europe and you were outside, I took the opportunity afterwards of looking up Öcalan and reading about him and reading about the Kurdish cause. I, of course, knew about the Kurdish cause and I knew about Öcalan, but I knew still more after this. Secondly, it is a sign of perseverance. One knows that there is something behind it when people are standing here every day, week after week, month after month, year after year. So I praise you for doing this.
A member of German parliament, Andrew Hanken, said it's been 4 years that he's involved with Kurdish question and underlined the importance of the struggle of Kurds and their friends.
It is still a very worrying situation in Turkey because there are a lot of tensions, there are a lot of issues concerning the elections which are worrying. For example, the counting in Agri or the counting in Hasan Cave. So I think it's very necessary for an international body like the Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe to have a clear look what's going on, especially in some strategic important cities in Kurdish regions in Turkey. And my impression is that the way the Kurdish people are dealing with the crisis in Turkey, with the civil war in Syria, makes hope, because it's a model of democratization, not only for the Kurdish people but as well for Turkey and for the whole region.
A member of Denmark Parliament and member of Council of Europe, Nicola Williamson, talked about the importance of this campaign.
And you have made a great impression, not only on us in the left group, but on the whole assembly. You have made a pressure that has been heard. We had the report on Turkey, where we took away the terror labeling of the PKK, where we had a majority in parliament that clearly supported the peace process. And I must say, I find this extremely important. I had the honor also to visit Ahmed for the Navros last year, where we had the speech of Öcalan, and coming from Denmark, where politicians are not that popular and there's a lot of bad people who always shame the public by their as politicians, I was very impressed that you can see that deeply in the feelings of the more than 1 million people there. They supported the message of Öcalan as well as I do and you do, and it's extremely important. Also because 2 years ago I was also in Ahmed and Diyarbakir and visiting the Navros there. Then it was banned. I was tear gassed, even though we were in a peaceful demonstration with Baydemir. I talked to Ahmed Türk, and the day after he was beaten and tear gassed. And I was in Roboski and visiting the relatives of the civilians who had been bombed and killed. And I think also when we are here today and we celebrate and honor your great engagement, I think we should also remember that there are many people who have struggled, many people have died, many people are still in prison, and we are here to support them. And we're also here to say that we remember those who died. As an example, the 3 women in Paris who were killed. I know only Fidan Dogan. I know her for her great commitment to the Kurdish cause and to the peace process and to a democratic solution for the Kurdish solution. So we should honor them today. And I would say thank you for being here, and you can be sure that while you're outside, we are inside and we are supporting the Kurdish cause.
On the other hand, the Freedom for Öcalan for Peace campaign, which was launched on 15th of February, has so far collected 3 million signatures in 2 months, calling for freedom of Kurdish people's leader Abdullah Öcalan. The total of signatures gathered in the region and all over Turkey has now passed the 3 million mark. The campaign is aiming to reach the 10 million mark by International Peace Day, the 1st of September. One of the organizers of the campaign, TÜYADFED President Zübeyde Teker, said they would step up their efforts to ensure they reach their target by 1st of September.
A group of prominent Turkish and foreign intellectuals, including writers, politicians, lawyers and activists, have released a petition urging the ruling Justice and Development Party AKP government to release hundreds of alien convicts from prison across the country.
Intellectuals urge Turkish government to release alien convicts from prisons in joint petition. The signatories include many individuals known for their activism, including South African Nobel Peace Laureate Desmond Tutu, American linguist Noam Chomsky, sociologist Immanuel Wallerstein, German Green politicians Claudia Roth and Cem Özdemir, Hungarian philosopher Gaspar Miklos Tamas, and Israeli Sakharov Prize laureate Nurit Pele-Delhanan. In the petition addressed to Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Justice Minister Bekir Bozdağ, the signatories stressed there were 544 ailing convicts in Turkey, including 163 with life-threatening conditions, according to the figures provided by the Human Rights Association, IHT, and the Human Rights Foundation of Turkey. They also said that a law enacted in January 2013 had rendered almost impossible the release of ailing convicts, as a large number among them had received sentences under the anti-terror laws. The imprisonment of ailing convicts and the exercise of violence against them is a clear violation of the right to life and right of protection from torture as guaranteed by the European Convention of Human Rights. Turkey should absolutely improve the inhuman conditions in prisons, the petition said.
AKP tries every possible way to diminish the victory of BDP in local elections. First the election fraud and later on the attempts to repress the protests with brutal police attacks and the implementation of state of emergency laws in some cities.
New mayor of Mardin, Ahmet Türk, said they came to find out that all the properties and estates belonging to the municipality have been conveyed to public treasury, and the direct municipal debt of 1 quadrillion Turkish liras had been left by previous AKP mayorship. Türk also informed that the municipality building of Mardinli was conveyed to the municipality of Artuklu, leaving no estate belonging to Mardin Metropolitan Municipality. Türk said all these operations carried out by AKP just because BDP won in Mardin. Türk also said they would not accept the situation and would apply to audit department for the restitution of the properties and for debt audit. Ahmet Türk also pointed out to the fact that Mardin is a multicultural city and said the municipality would respect to all people of the city and try to guarantee their participation in the policy-making processes. Türk said the underrepresented groups like Arabs, Syrians, Mihallemis would enjoy affirmative action measures for their participation. Türk said they would put into practice democratic autonomy based on self-management of people.
A new mayor of the Bingöl elected in local elections from the ranks of the ruling Justice and Development Party AKP has refused to let women elected to the local municipal councils hold position of responsibility on religion grounds.
Bingöl Jolik's mayor Yücel Barakazi has been reported as saying that he would not assign any women for the deputy mayor post, adding that this was acceptable on neither moral nor religious grounds and that society would not accept it. Mayor Yücel Barakazi's comments have been interpreted as an attempt to prevent Nurten Ertuğrul, elected after topping the AKP's list of running candidates for the municipal council, from being granted the position of deputy mayor. Following his comments, Ertuğrul announced her immediate resignation from the municipal council, slamming the new mayor for his attitude. It is completely contradictory to make women work throughout the election campaign day and night without caring about social, religious or moral rules, and then putting forward all kinds of excuses to keep them in the background. No one should impose this on us for the sake of religion, Ertuğrul said, stressing that 65% of women in the town, which is known for its conservative mentality, voted for the AKP. AKP deputy chair and party spokesman Hüseyin Çelik criticized Nurten Ertuğrul, saying that her resignation does not bode well for the party. Peace and Democracy Party, BDP Women's Assemblies and HDP, People's Democratic Congress, People's Democratic Party, Women's Assembly released a statement to condemn the newly elected AKP mayor of Bingöl, Yücel Barakazi's gendered and discriminative discourse against women. The Women's Assembly pointed out that ruling AKP government continued for the last 12 years to maintain its attitude that authorizes and externalizes women and intends to confine them to their homes. Members of the assemblies also called on the AKP mayor to apologize to women and to submit his resignation.
A police tank known as Scorpion dived into the crowds of demonstrators and crashed a 12-year-old boy. The child was heavily wounded and had a brain operation. As the police intervened demonstrators in the province of Wan, a police tank known as Scorpion crashed a 12-year-old boy on Tuesday. The boy was heavily wounded and taken to Van District Training and Research Hospital. He had a brain surgery. He has been in intensive care units after the operation and by yesterday showing signs of improvement. Peace and Democracy Party Özal Uçar stated that the boy was Shoeshiner and he was passing there in order to go home. According to the information given by the family and other youngsters, the child was not being examined for a half an hour because he did not have his ID card with him. This was it from us for tonight. We will see you next week at the same time. Thanks for watching us. Bye-bye.